Keep your damn mouth shut.
There it is. There it is.
Just shut up.
That's right.
Don't say nothing.
Right.
It's best don't say nothing. There ain't no trying to fix. That way you ain't got to fix. What if you're right? What? What did he say? What did you say? What if you're right? What if you're right? Are you married? Yes, I am. You actually said that? What if you're right? When? I mean, sometimes. When? What? Boy, your dumb ass ain't gonna make 15. I can tell you that right now.
So, alright, so first and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kakadash. We say the most person I love agreements on a ruler, teaches a person the truth. And we see salutations, so the Akim, so the push with no truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season of season, we say Shalom. And once again, going into our video here, and this is basically touching upon, as you can see the video that I just played, right? And just reading the title of the video, or the description of the video, it states that keep your damn mouth shut. Steve Harvey shares advice on how to make a marriage last. And this imagine that is the type of advice that he's given men to do what? To keep your damn mouth to keep your damn mouth shut. So no matter what it is a woman do, what it is she say, however she act, even if she commit adultery, you're supposed to do what? His advice is to keep your damn mouth shut, right? Even if you're right, even as the guy was saying here, you can see from the guy asking him, what if you're right? And his advice is to what? Keep your damn mouth shut. And that is the worst advice that they can give someone, especially when it comes to marriage, right? Especially with these women, the scriptures talk about, and I know I'll go to that just now, but to get the water, no passage and so forth, right? Even if when you watch this guy here who sat on here, he was asking him, so what if you're right? You could see he laughing, but you could see like it's a fake laugh, right? Now coming back to the beginning,
keep your damn mouth shut.
And when he said that, they could hear the woman in the background said, well, get it out, get it out, telling him, because and all the women said a clap. And these are the kind of things that these men do. What they're saying it for, it's not really the truth they're trying to say, but it's all about money, because they know appeasing to these women, it will bring them to listen to the things that they would have to say and will give them monetary gain, right? Even though it's a bunch of bullshit they continue to say on a daily basis, right? So let me bring the script here. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 9 verse 16. It says, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that a lot of them are destroyed. Because these is the type of guys that Jake set up to be the leaders, right? That, as I say, to seek to get their advice from, who they would run to answer questions and so forth. This is the men that are set up. This is their leaders, right? So as I say here, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that a lot of them are destroyed. And being led by these guys is only going to lead it on one path, and that is to be destroyed. You listen to a man that's telling you to keep your damn mouth shut. Whereas some months ago, I believe, or a little while ago, if I could recall, they were on the news. Steve Harvey's wife was caught, or I believe she was having a relationship with one of his security or something along those lines, right? So imagine that happening in this guy's marriage, and he's telling you to keep your damn mouth shut. What kind of madness is that? So as the scriptures say, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that a lot of them are destroyed. So again, looking up to these guys, following these guys is only going to lead along one path, and there's a path to be what? To be destroyed. And he's not the only guy. You even have men, even in the midst of Israel, calling in the name IUIC, that teaches you something similar to this, right? Had a woman all disobedient, coming born and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, so you don't really want to, and honestly, you don't really want to listen to these guys at all, right? These type of men who tell you these things, especially when it comes to women, yeah, you don't want to listen to them at all, right? Do even ask for advice from these men, because it's only bullshit they're gonna tell you, right? But Jake, these are the kind of things they like, with this chucking and jiving. That is what they like, kicks and laugh, right? Um, let me jump to our scripture here. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6, and I'll read from verse 34. It says, stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise, right? So as the scripture say, stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise. Is Steve Harvey wise? No, right? No. But you understand, and we know we are the standing multitude of the elders, which is the apostles and elders of great millstone, right? And we cleave onto the things they tell us on a daily basis, right? See that the scriptures talk about hearken unto men with much experience, right? It says verse 35, it says, be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. But what kind of discourse is this that he's sitting on having with these people on this show? This is literally evil discourse. This is not godly discourse at all, right? So it say, but be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. And that goes to show, like, when you ask a man who to be, and you go to the scriptures and you show him how a man's supposed to be, and dealing with marriages and so forth, he will understand, right, how he's supposed to be. Right, verse 36, it say, and if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Verse 37, it say, let thy mind be upon the ordinances. Now this is a very important part here. It say, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom and thine own desires. So as the scripture said, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord. And let's go, right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. And I did say, I remember I did a video yesterday talking about, the video that I did, it will lead into another video. And this is basically the video that I was talking about, right? It will lead into this. All right, so this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and I'll read from verse 1. It says, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Mashiach. Verse 2, it says, now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things. Ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them unto you. Now we now read in Surah talking about the ordinances, right? You say, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Mashiach is God. So the head of the woman is man. So what kind of advice is this guy giving, telling a man that he should keep quiet? No, that is not being a head, right? That's not being a head of someone. Imagine your boss, right? You're working in a place, and your boss doing bullshit, and your boss remaining quiet. Would that make sense? No, it would not. So why you being the head of your household, right? As we now reading the ordinances, right? Because this guy was once a pastor, right? This guy was once a pastor, if I could recall. And this is the type of advice he's giving people, right? It's not giving people, or giving men to stay quiet. And it had a man, this goes to show, it had a man here.
What did he say?
The man was asking him, even if I write, and he was saying, what did he say? Making fun of the man. And had all the other women clapping and so forth. Man, Steve Harvey is a big CWN man, right? And people keep on calling him out of bullshit, but you see what goes on with this guy. You see, he knows that talk in this type of way, it attracts the woman to him, which will bring the majority of them to him. And what he does it for is for the monetary gain, right? And he would basically say and do anything to get our money. He has said it up. He have said it before. He have done sit downs we talk about that, right? But going back to the script here, it say, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man. So the head of the woman is the man. So why would a man being the head over a woman keep his damn mouth shut? Why would he do that when he's the head? But this is the type of advice these men give, And Jake look up to these guys to be the leaders, to be the men that they look up to, giving them this kind of foolish and bullshit advice, right? So this is the book of same 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and I'll go jump down a little bit. Verse 8, it says, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. So she was created for us, right? So this type of advice that this man giving is total bullshit according to the scriptures. And remember, we're supposed to keep the ordinances. Going back to the book of Ecclesiasticus 6 verse 37, it says, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom and thy own desire. Right? And we now read some of the ordinances here. That a man is the head of the woman, right? And you see, if it take this particular advice, right? And that is what the scriptures mention, the elders is who is supposed to take who is supposed to be going to for advice, right? And we know the elders are not these guys, right? At all. We know the apostles and elders are great milestone. They tell us how to be towards these women. They have done a couple of videos for the past few months, on it, right? Not these type of guys that the whole thing is what, for money. Not all old men are wise, right? Especially these guys, So let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 25. And verse let me read from verse 23, right? They say, a wicked woman abated her courage, make it an heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress, make it weak hands and feeble knees. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. So why would you give a woman that so much authority over you, when that authority is not given to let them be over us, right? It says verse 25, it says, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to guard abroad. No. So let's look at something here quick. So when you do a quick Google search and you look up guard abroad, it means to travel or roam around in a leisurely and carefree manner, often for pleasure or entertainment, without a specific destination or purpose. Right? Let's say when you look guard, it means to wander idly or without a purpose, often in search of a movement. And say abroad, the word means in or to a foreign country. right, to God abroad, right? That's something else here. Seeing something else here. I just saw. Um, all right, I ain't seen it here. Right. So going back to the Surah chapter 25, verse 25, it says, "Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to God abroad." So yeah, so why would you, if these women, if your wife is doing things wrong, why would they give that water a passage? That is literally the advice this guy is giving you, with me scriptures telling you to don't give she no passage. Neither a wicked woman liberty to God abroad. Neither giving a wicked woman liberty to God abroad. So what that means, you would have to do what? You would have to talk. So in other words, you wouldn't keep your damn mouth shut. You would open your mouth, and you would be what? A man. Correct and a matter. Right? It say, if she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. So yeah, she don't want to go as you wanted, just cut you off. And you dealing with these modern day women, you're dealing with monsters. Right? You're dealing with total monsters. Even some of them that be saying that they're in the truth and so forth, they're not really in the truth. They're not in the truth. Because they continue not to keep these, they literally they don't want to follow the ordinances, right? Some of them want to be over here, some of them want to be teachers and so forth, going against the word, right? But at the end of the day, that is what you'll get from women, right? And these guys, they play right into that trope because they know the things that women want to hear. In other words, they sell dreams. We have a saying here in the Caribbean, we like to say, waxing. Like when we say wax, you wax them up. Is like wax is being in the air. So like you're just saying things that you know that I want to hear, right? That is what these guys do, because they know these women come to spend. They want to buy the books. They want to see the movies, because that is what they will say, right? And there's kind of mad, stupid advice that they give the men, and then you have men that would follow that, right? But as the scriptures say, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to God abroad. So you would never ever, if you're following the words of the Lord, keep your damn mouth shut, right? So once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yoshai, Ba'Shem Kakodesh. We say them as a personal elders agreements and a rule teaches our personal truth. And we see salutations so the account to push with our truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season and season. We say Shalom.